You know what they say? The people who know your past are the ones who can destroy your future. And for Meghan Markle, that danger didn't come from some nosy reporter or a sneaky palace insider. No, it came from the one man she trusted more than anyone else, Prince Harry. It happened behind the palace walls, in one of those rooms where everything echoes and nothing escapes. He wasn't angry, he wasn't dramatic, he was calm, almost too calm. But the words that left his mouth, they froze the air. "There are things about Meghan," he said quietly, "that no one outside this family will ever believe." Everyone who heard it knew something had just cracked, because if Harry himself was saying that, if he was hinting that there were secrets hidden beneath the fairy tale, then what on earth could be buried deep enough to make him say that? This wasn't just gossip. This wasn't a tabloid headline. This was a window into the real Meghan Markle, the woman before the tiaras, before the titles, before the world fell in love with her smile. And what Harry revealed wasn't rumor, it was memory, it was truth, raw and dangerous. And it all began in Toronto. One night the palace would rather pretend never existed. Toronto, 2016. Meghan was at the peak of her Suits fame. She lived in a cozy rented townhouse, smiled for the cameras by day, and wrote about self-care on her blog at night. But behind closed doors, she was quietly dating a prince. Prince Harry, of course, sneaking him into the city for secret visits, away from handlers, away from headlines. That night was supposed to be simple, just Harry and Meghan. No cameras, no press, no chaos, but the whispers that followed tell a very different story. According to people who were there, Meghan wasn't just spending the evening with Harry. She was hosting something, and not just a dinner or a quiet get-together. No, Toronto's late-night crowd had another name for it, a run. In plain words, it wasn't dinner and wine, it was indulgence. The kind that glitters under low light and disappears by sunrise. Whispers say there was cocaine involved. No photos, no police, no scandal. At least not one that ever reached the papers. But one name kept echoing in hushed tones. Princess Eugenie, Harry's cousin. No one knows if she was truly there or if someone just used her name to open the right doors. But even the mention of it sent shockwaves through those who heard. Because one slip, one leaked photo, one wrong whisper, and that night could have blown up not just Harry and Meghan's romance. It could have dragged the entire royal family into the mess. Something went wrong that night. No one knows exactly what. Maybe a close call, maybe a leak that almost got out. But whatever it was, it vanished by morning. No witnesses, no traces, just silence. And when silence falls that fast, it usually means someone powerful made sure it did. Some say strings were pulled from the very top. The palace couldn't afford a scandal touching their beloved Harry. And Meghan? Back then, she was still just a TV actress. Easy to erase. So the night was scrubbed from history, buried under money, influence, and late-night phone calls. But those who were there never forgot. Because that was the night they saw who Meghan Markle really was. Calm, composed, and completely in control of the chaos swirling around her. To understand how Meghan could glide through a night like that, no fear, no hesitation, no trace. You have to go back to the one man who knew her before the fame, before the palace. Trevor Engelson, her first husband. Their wedding in Jamaica in 2011 wasn't royal, wasn't fancy. It was loud, wild, unforgettable. Guests still talk about it. Not because of the vows, but because of what Meghan did that shocked everyone. She sat down, calm, collected, and rolled over 100 joints for her guests. Not a joke, not a dare, an operation. She wanted everyone relaxed, everyone happy. Meghan was in control. People laughed then, said she was the cool bride. But Trevor saw something else. He saw a woman who didn't just join parties, she ran them. She knew how to set the mood, manage the crowd, make everyone adore her, while hiding the mess behind the music. Trevor thought he'd married a sweet, ambitious actress chasing her Hollywood dream. But what he got was someone who could control atmospheres like a director controls a scene. And when their marriage ended, she didn't just walk away. She erased him, completely. But Trevor never forgot. He carried those memories, Jamaica, the laughter, the smoke, the way she commanded a room, and he understood the truth. Meghan wasn't chaos, she was the one who designed it. Toronto wasn't just a filming location for Meghan, it was her playground, her second world. And the center of that world was Soho House, the private club where fame and temptation blurred into one glittering haze. By day, Meghan was the picture-perfect actress, polished, humble, blogging about kindness and self-growth. By night, she was something else entirely. Loud, magnetic, untouchable. Soho House wasn't like any ordinary bar. Behind its locked doors, the champagne flowed, but that wasn't all. Whispers say that indulgence had many forms: hidden deliveries, coded requests, secret rooms where the night never ended. And in that world, Meghan wasn't a guest. She was the connector, the one who knew who wanted what, how much, and how to make sure it arrived quietly. Her beauty opened the doors, but her discretion kept them open. People didn't just invite her because she was charming. They invited her because she was safe, because she could keep their secrets buried. To the public, she was the humanitarian, the role model, the advocate. But inside Soho House, she was the woman who could make a night last forever, who turned indulgence into art and secrecy into survival. And that was the version of Meghan the palace had no idea they were letting in. Prince Harry had grown up under a spotlight that burned hotter than the sun. Every mistake he ever made, every wild night, every stumble, every drunken laugh became front-page news by morning. His Vegas escapades, his bad boy headlines, the whispers that never seemed to end. They weren't just embarrassing moments. They were chains, reminders that his freedom didn't really exist. Then, Meghan entered his life. She wasn't like the rest. She didn't flinch at the chaos. She didn't scold him for his recklessness. She understood it, almost too well. She didn't just love him, she offered him something far rarer: escape. For the first time in his life, Harry met someone who knew how to live dangerously and how to hide it perfectly. Because Meghan, she had already mastered that art long before she ever met her prince. The Soho House nights, the secret circles, the quiet indulgences behind velvet curtains. Meghan knew exactly how to live loudly in private and quietly in public. And for Harry, that was intoxicating. People love to say it was love at first sight. Maybe it was, but it wasn't just love that connected them. It was understanding. Harry had spent his whole life being watched. Meghan had spent hers learning how not to be seen. She didn't judge his darker side. She managed it. She made it feel safe. She made rebellion look romantic. And in that safety, Harry started to depend on her. She became more than a partner. She became his protector, the one who promised him something the palace never could: privacy. To Harry, that wasn't just affection, that was freedom. But in Meghan's world, freedom always came with a price. And that price was reinvention. If you look closely at Meghan's life, you'll notice a pattern. A clean, deliberate pattern. Every time she stepped into a new chapter, she didn't just move forward. She wiped the slate clean. Completely. When she left Trevor Engelson, she didn't just leave a husband behind. She deleted a witness. When she left Toronto, she didn't just move cities. She left behind friends, contacts, entire chapters of her life as if they never existed. People who once laughed with her, texted her, called her Meg, gone. College friends stopped hearing from her. Family members she once spoke to every week were suddenly strangers. It wasn't coincidence. It was strategy. Because Meghan knew something powerful. If people can't reach you, they can't reveal you. And that became her silent rule. Every new version of Meghan came with a clean new mask. In Hollywood, she was the ambitious, hustling actress. With Harry, she was the sweet, down-to-earth woman who didn't care about fame. At Soho House, she was the queen of discretion, the one who could supply the thrill and bury the evidence. None of those versions overlapped. And that was her brilliance. She told just enough of herself to make each world believe they knew her best. But no one ever saw the full picture. It wasn't dishonesty, it was survival. And that survival instinct followed her right into the palace gates. When reporters asked where she came from or what her early life was like, the answers always shifted. A detail added here, a date blurred there, every story polished, every flaw tucked away. Because every time Meghan rose higher, she had to make sure no one could reach down and pull her back. But Meghan's transformations weren't just emotional. They were physical. Line up photos of her over the years and you'll see it. The early face, softer, rounder, a bit more real. The later one, sharper, sculpted, defined like marble. Of course, Hollywood called it glow-ups. The official story said it was just camera angles, lighting, a little contouring magic. But people who knew her back in the Toronto days whispered a different story. They said it wasn't about beauty, it was about covering up damage. That the changes weren't enhancements, but repairs. That her polished look wasn't born of vanity. It was born of necessity. Too much indulgence, they murmured. Too many nights where the lines on the table weren't for reading scripts. Too many whispered runs through the hidden side of Toronto's nightlife. The surgeries, they said, weren't just cosmetic, they were erasures. Every change, every refinement, a burial of some part of the past she no longer wanted visible. And if you track her timeline, truly track it, you start to notice something eerie. Every update to her face came right when her life changed course. Leaving Trevor, leaving Toronto, entering the palace. Each transformation matched a reinvention, as if she was rewriting her story, using her own reflection as the page. It was genius. It was terrifying. And it worked. Because the Meghan Markle the world fell for wasn't just made, she was crafted. Every line, every look, every angle designed to fit the new chapter she was writing. For most people, silence means peace. But for Meghan, silence was a weapon. She knew exactly when to talk, when to smile, when to disappear. That's what saved her in Toronto. That's what protected her through her messy Hollywood years. And that's what she brought into her royal life. When things got complicated, now when questions started piling up, Meghan didn't argue. She vanished. People who'd known her for years suddenly found their messages left on read. Former co-stars said she stopped returning calls the second Suits made her famous. Even family members claimed they found out about her engagement to Harry through the news. To outsiders, that looked like a woman fiercely guarding her privacy. But those who'd seen her pattern recognized something else: strategy. Every silence was a clean break. Every vanished connection, a carefully placed edit. She learned long ago that if people couldn't reach her, they couldn't expose her. And so, the Meghan Markle the world adored, the calm, composed Duchess with the charity speeches and glowing smile, wasn't hiding from the world. She was controlling what the world could see. Because in her world, silence didn't mean emptiness. It meant power.